Start recording. And this I want to hit go live. This is it. Hello, everyone. I'm William Bezmen.
And I'm Judith Grant, and it's a hot day, so we're sitting in the stream.
That's right. We're going live on Facebook from Pathways to Health. And today, Judith, we have what we feel is a pretty interesting topic. Mm-hmm. It's about going green and some of the real facts about going green, well, or not going green, maybe.
Yeah.
And not being aware of what's in your home and the environment and how we're taking care of the environment and so forth. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to see if I could share the screen. Let's see.
Share this over here.
This one right here.
Okay.
Right. We'll share that. And we'll hit play.
Okay.
All right. So one of the facts, you want to start with this? This is like amazing to me.
Well, one of the things I think that triggered this, both of us are in healthcare, and I spent a lot of years with oncology patients and looking at the causes of not just cancer, but chronic disease, and a lot of the things that we're experiencing now, including the rises in asthma and learning disabilities, even infertility. Right. And very often in our country, we all know this, that there are trends. Don't eat this, it's not good for you. Then the following month, yes, it is good for you. And don't do this, it's unhealthy. Then no, do this, it's healthy. And I think that the Going Green movement kind of got swallowed up in all of that. And the truth of the matter is, we've known in this country for over 30 years the dangers of some of the chemicals that are in products that we use every day in our life, right, both in our homes and on our bodies. And, our skin is the largest organ in our body, so whatever we put on it is eventually going to end up in it. And I think that, it got it went back and forth, and then you saw the rise of the Whole Foods, the Trader Joe's, the Wild by Nature's and such, and the move then also with the food and the organics, and then to gluten, yes, gluten, no, and everything gets diluted. But the one thing that's solid, and all the European countries, or many of the European countries, have banned a lot of the chemicals that we use in our country because of its direct link to illness. And I think, I just want to say in the beginning, and then we'll say also to the end, I want to be very, very clear. Chemicals that we use every day in our homes and our bodies and food additives aren't the only reason we get sick. It is just one of the ingredients in a recipe.
One of the variables.
Yeah, one of the variables. And like we've always said, it's the one thing, as far as I'm concerned, that we have the most control over. We can't control our genetics. They are what they are. Stress and how we manage stress,
learn how to control that eventually, right?
As best as you can. And right, there's a lot of other things like outdoor pollution, air quality pollution, high tension wires. There's a lot of stuff that we can't directly impact, like right here and now. But the one thing we felt that we can impact, right, and we have been at least a good 20 years now, is what we bring in our home as far as chemicals and what we put on our body. Right. That we have control over. But look at these staggering statistics. More children under 4 die of accidental poisoning than handguns. The average home has more chemicals than a typical chemistry lab at the turn of the century, because there's really no regulation on the chemicals that come into our home.
And with that children under 4, very often it's coming from the colorful liquid soap that's on the
you'll see all the time, the iPods and the Tide Pods and right, those things, or the very pretty dish detergent on the sink that right, everybody never thinks of as being poison. you think of oven cleaner, a lot of people, but that's as toxic as anything, and it has all those pretty colors, the greens and the blues and the pinks.
Yeah. So if you look in your laundry room, under the sink, in the bathroom, what do you find? If you can see this picture, that little girl, just curious, opened the drawer and the door, and my God, if she puts it to her mouth, like a lot of kids do, automatically with things because they want to sense it that way. You have window cleaners, bleach, dishwashing detergent, all toxic chemicals, and very, very dangerous to children, to pets, to ourselves, just by inhaling the fumes.
Yeah,
but I just want to talk about this one here. Shampoo, toothpaste, and mouthwash. Is that what you were going to say?
Yeah.
Why do you think we can't swallow toothpaste? They say do not swallow or let children swallow toothpaste. It's toxic. So every day, millions and millions of people are brushing their teeth with toxic waste. The chemicals in the toothpaste are toxic. And they say don't swallow, but does that mean it's not being absorbed by your gums? Is it not being absorbed with what you're inhaling, the fumes from it and all?
Or in the mouthwash, a lot of the leading mouthwashes have very high alcohol content, and it has literally proven to be a problem, not a help at all. So, sometimes we think, okay, don't let them under the kitchen sink or the laundry room, but you don't think, especially with little ones, about the problems with shampoos, toothpaste, and mouthwash. So it's something just to keep in mind, parents and grandparents alone.
Okay.
We're having a little glitch here.
Computer glitch for some reason.
Yeah, there we go again.
Is this back the same one? Yes.
Yeah, okay. We're working on it.
Okay, guys. That's Facebook Live. This is what could happen. All right.
All right.
Here.
Yay. So anyway, there are a lot of chemicals that are in the products that we use every day. And by the way, these stats come from OSHA, NIH, National Institute of Health. You can see these also through the EPA, the FDA. So it's not just numbers of hearsay. These are real numbers. So 150, or now they're saying even more, chemicals used in the home. They can directly link to allergies, birth defects, cancer, skin conditions like eczema, guys, big time, psychological abnormalities, and learning disabilities, because very often, especially chemicals in cleaning products, not only are carcinogens, meaning things that can cause cancer, but they also just inhaling them, cause neurotoxicity. In other words, your neurological system, your brain, and your central nervous system. So, it's very powerful.
So, as Judith was talking about, the rate of cancer and learning disabilities in children is higher than ever. And over the last 20 years alone, it's increased by 26%. That's more than a quarter of the population are experiencing this increase. And that's really frightening, Judith. And this is pictures.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite pictures.
Yeah.
The whole thing is, people talk about air pollution, and I'm not saying we shouldn't worry about that. We absolutely should. Nothing that we're talking about is to the exclusion of other things. There are many, many things out there we can do to help ourselves and our environment. We're just focusing on this one. We don't think about the fact that most American homes, if not all, do not pass OSHA standards for air quality that they have for businesses. Businesses have to do that.
And so forth.
And our homes don't pass it. So
what
that's
about
scary.
That story when we went to visit this couple in Queens, I believe, right? And the ambulance came next door to them, and it turns out that her grandmother was doing just this. So she was in the bathroom by her bathtub. Do you remember that? Mm-hmm. And she was cleaning with a mixture of, was it Ajax and bleach or something?
Yeah, she was using Ajax, a Comet, and bleach on her tiles.
And that a combination Did she? I don't remember if she died or not.
She died at the hospital. She slipped into a coma and she never came out. And by the way, guys, not uncommon to see people being brought in comas, very lightly dizziness, nausea, to extreme seizures and even death. So, it's serious stuff. Don't mix your chemicals. Don't use them at all. But if you're going to use them, don't mix them.
Right.
But this is, the other thing too. People will say, well, I keep it in closed containers. If you walk down any supermarket aisle, you're going to smell the chemicals. I mean, it's just god awful. After a while, you can feel it in your eyes. You can almost taste it, and those are in sealed containers. So imagine when they're not sealed or when you're using them, how dangerous they are. And I really believe as small children and elderly and asthmatics, anybody with frail lungs. But I'm going to add on to this, guys, our pets, our dogs and our cats. Anybody, too, that's little, they're closer to the ground, especially when you spray things, the mist and the vapors.
Into the rug, cleaning the floors.
Yeah, the VOCs.
And they lay on the floor, they crawl on the floor, and they're 6 inches from these toxic
chemicals.
Products.
Yeah, terrible.
Yeah. So anyway,
so like as I said, there are a lot of things too. I had a lady one day, I was doing this lecture at a school, and she raised her hand. She said, well, my grandmother and my great-grandmother used ammonia and bleach, and they lived to be whatever. Yes, they used ammonia and bleach. Didn't make it good, but if you think back then, homes and apartments were not airtight. So a lot of the fumes and such were able to escape. Not only that, but I don't know about you guys, but my grandmother, in the winter, it could be 30 degrees below zero outside, and on Saturday, cleaning day, every window was open. I remember sitting with a coat on in my living room because Grandma was cleaning. So, and the clothes got hung out on the line, so a lot of the chemicals and vapors. So it was different now. Now we're so airtight that anything. And
that also came about worrying about the environment, right? Because for heat, the cost of heat. So we tightened up everything, which was good on that side, but it also had these toxic fumes locked in and they couldn't escape more. And people are breathing them. And I remember there was some statistics when we were talking about this, that women who stayed at home had a higher percentage of developing cancer than women who worked, or people who stayed at home. Doesn't matter,
men or women.
Or women.
Yeah.
That the person that was at home most of the day had a higher risk, and that was because of what you said before about the OSHA requirements.
Yeah.
That in industry they're regulated, at home they're not. And this is really something for us to consider. Really look at these things, and as Judith said before, it is something that's controllable.
Yeah, take it serious. And again, too, we're a society, we want it done now. So from World War II to now, by the way, and so even like later than that, the soap operas, when women used to watch, they were stay-at-home moms and dads, and there were soap operas, and that they got their name because at the commercials, what did they advertise? Cleaning products and soap and dish detergent and laundry detergent and such. That's how they got their name and how they were sponsored. But we started to get busier, and what did we want? We wanted chemicals that worked instantly.
Right.
Well, guess what happens? When you have a bathroom cleaner that practically cleans the bathroom by itself, it means that the chemicals in it have to be that much stronger in order to work to that degree.
Right.
So that's another way that we have been impacted because of our society and the demands on things working quickly.
So more exposure can lead to more illness.
Yeah.
And, again, it's just to be aware of this. And we spend 90% of time indoors. Nowadays, with video games and so forth, families, kids and adults are hanging out by their computers or TV, large screen TVs, playing indoors all the time. or much of the time, and they're breathing more, have more opportunity to breathe in these toxic chemicals and so forth. So, again, something to consider. Moms, infants, elderly, 90% in the home all the time. Women who work at home, that's what I said before, it's 54%. Higher death rate from cancer than women who work out of the home.
Yeah. So we have to start, again, this isn't the sky is falling, but again, we're always saying there are things that are out of control. You know, traffic is out of our control. The weather is out of our control. Some of the things that are going on in the world right now feel as though they're out of our control. But we can control, like I said, what we bring into the home. And up until now, it's like a toxic waste dump, the chemicals that we've been using. Like I said, 150 toxic chemicals, 72,000 plus chemicals have been produced since World War II. And here's the thing, the majority of them have never been tested. And this is what's important, guys, long-term effects. You see, they'll release things if you can't get sick from one use. Well, how many times do you use dish detergent? How many times do you use laundry detergent? How many times do you brush your teeth and gargle and use soap and shampoo and shaving cream?
It's insidious. It builds over time.
Yeah, we can go on and on and on and on. So, and they really never looked, you know, the powers that be at these long-term, you know, effects. And this study...
Yeah, Judith, talk about this because this is...
mind-blowing.
Mind-blowing, yeah. And it's on the different stations and
yeah, it was back, I think, in
Science Daily, Fortune.
Yeah. I think it was in
News,
February, somewhere in there, February, March. You know, they had it on. It's interesting. I think this should have been very breaking news, but every, you know, little channel did a few minutes of on it one day and it was done. Gone. You never heard anymore. This was a 20-year independent study, guys, that proved, not speculated, that using the National Cleaning Product brands as little as once a week is as bad for your lungs as smoking a pack of cigarettes a day. Now, we're not talking about lung cancer. We're talking about other lung irritants. We're talking about asthma, emphysema, chronic obstructive pulmonary, how it'll affect those things. This 20-year independent study, it wasn't a little study. It was over 6,000 people.
Yeah, I think I want people to understand that when studies are done, very often they study 20 people.
And they're little studies.
40 people. And those are considered studies, legitimate studies. This was 20 years, 6,235 subjects of all walks of life, various stages of health, from very healthy to not as healthy. And the statistics that they came out with, it's
it really makes your head spin. The use of spray and liquid home cleaning products were monitored. Lung capacity tests were done. 28 researchers. So this wasn't any one company or one agency that was being paid to get this together. This was a real joint effort.
9 countries.
9 different countries
involved in this.
And I think the peer review, just read about that.
Published in the American Journal of Respiratory and Critical Care Medicine. So it was peer reviewed in that incredible magazine. And received international media attention, but you have to do something with it. It's important to not just be aware of it and add to your stress, but look at most people, if they're honest with themselves, realize how dangerous cigarette smoking is. And it's not just about who lives. You know, every once in a while someone lives to 100 and they say they smoke, but that was great. But how many millions have... even if they living unhealthy lives with the emphysema, the asthma,
and also heart disease.
Heart disease. It's amazing. So again, this is the real deal, guys, and it's something really to think about.
Yeah, make some changes. And I just want to say something with that study, just quickly. That was on adult lungs. Can you imagine what it does to an infant or children? Just saying.
Yeah.
Just saying. So here's some more compelling facts.
Yeah, the EPA study found that toxic chemicals in the home cleaners are 3 times more likely to cause cancer than outdoor air, right? 26% increase in breast cancer since 1982. And breast cancer is #1 killer of women between the ages of 35 and 54. And primary suspects are laundry detergents, household cleaners, and pesticides. Again, Judith said earlier, there are many different variables, and we honor that, and we trust that. But it's really something for us to look at, become aware of. This is a season that's starting now with, today's Labor Day in the United States, and people are starting their school seasons now, coming off vacations and so forth. This is a time to make change. This is a time to
Perfect time to
pick yourself up and set some goals and make some changes in your life that can affect your health and the health of your family.
Absolutely. So chemicals get into our body, like 3 different ways primarily, and that's by breathing in. So if you smell it, it is going into your body.
Right.
Just let's be clear. If you smell them, they are going into your body. That's it. Ingestion.
That's like secondhand smoke.
Yeah.
So you walk out around here in New York, there's no smoking in restaurants, right, or in hospitals, things like that. But I often allow it outside the door. So you're sitting inside, you eat, have a good meal, you walk outside through a cloud of smoke, right? So even if you're not smoking, you're breathing that in. That goes right into your lungs, into your body, your clothes stinks. But the reason I talked about cigarette smoke is because that's noticeable. These other chemicals may not be as noticeable as the smoke.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's a really good point, William, because a lot of people that don't smoke and would never think of it, think nothing of spraying Lysol, which is god-awful stuff. I mean, just go to a material safety data sheet and look at the dangers of Lysol, or using bleach,
right,
or Windex. They think nothing of it because they think it's safe because they bought it in a store. Guys, it's not safe, and it's not good for your lungs. Do your own research. Research it well. Make changes whenever you can. Ingestion, of course, and absorption is important because, again, they use patches very often for pain and hormones and such.
So nicotine patches for stuff like so. The skin does absorb whatever's on it.
Do you know how long it takes for a chemical to show up in your bloodstream?
Oh, share it with us, Judith.
Little fact.
26
seconds.
Okay.
So when you're putting on lotions and potions and using soaps and sunscreens and stuff, just be aware. 26 seconds for it to go into your bloodstream.
This, why don't you share about this? This is another amazing statistic.
Yeah, we have a good friend who wrote a book about going green and such, and the toxic effects. And one of the amazing facts that they talked about was that bleach really became popular in the American homes because they used chloride gas in World War I believe it was, as chemical warfare, and they had stockpiles. And I don't know all the chemistry behind how they do it, but I know they had these huge stockpiles, and eventually Clorox or bleach, let's just say bleach, chlorine bleach got to the American household to make our sheets whiter and our underwear whiter, but its roots are in chloride gas. It is very, very dangerous stuff. It is very toxic. It is absolutely a carcinogen, which means potential of causing cancer, and a neurotoxin.
Right.
And this is just by smelling it, it can be neurotoxic. We're looking at breast cancer rates and reproductive problems that we're seeing on the rise lately. And again, not the only reason, but an easy fix.
Yeah, ADD and ADHD epidemic in schools. The amounts of kids that are experiencing this are rising throughout the years. We're seeing it in behavior problems that they link to exposure to toxic chemicals. use of Ritalin skyrocketed since 1990.
Yeah, and Adderall now they're using.
Adderall, right? So these medicines that are prescribed for the conditions ADD and ADHD and so forth have risen tremendously. And the New York Poison Control Centers reports 85% of product warning labels are either inadequate or incorrect. So think about that. So what you're reading on the label, 85% of them, according to New York Poison Control Center, 85% of the product warning labels are either inadequate or incorrect.
Mm-hmm. I remember a couple of years ago talking about the kids, William. There was a show that Oprah did, and they had kids playing in a room that was chemical free,
right.
And then I think it was the same kids, and they moved into a room. I don't remember the exact which way they did it. I think, yeah, then they moved them to a room. They had sealed chemicals, cleaning products in the other room, and they monitored them for a while, and their attention, their meltdowns, emotional meltdowns, their tendency to be aggressive to each other were all impacted.
Yeah.
It was a very profound show. I wish I remember the actual show or series. I'm sure there's a way of finding out about it. But I remember sitting there and I was speechless as a grandmother or grandparents of 11. I'm just, it's scary. But anyway, so formaldehyde is a big problem. Remember, formaldehyde was used in embalming fluid, a lot of it because it paralyzes the neurological system, and it keeps...
So where do we use it? In antiperspirants, mouthwash, toothpaste, Tupperware, baggies, permanent pressed clothing. Those are just some of the things that are in our life every day. In the carpets, where formaldehyde, which is highly toxic, and didn't we have a study at one point where the embalmers use less formaldehyde now because we have so much in our system just through what we're breathing in and taking in than they did in the past?
There was some study by like morticians or something that they need less because of all the chemicals that we have. But it's in everything. There was a time, I don't know if it's still true, but there was even a time, there it is, that the white coffee filters, like from Mr. Coffee machines and such, were actually, they contain formaldehyde, and just it goes on and on. It's in our money, so we have a lot of exposure to it. And you get symptoms like allergies and cancer, immune systems, being impacted, and asthma. So all these things are going on, but this I think is important. Like I said, it's not the only thing that's a problem: diet, stress, immune system, and genetics. So if we could just take a moment, we're trying to keep this timely. There's a lot of information, but even back in the day when we were using chemicals and our homes weren't so airtight, our foods were higher in antioxidants. Our fruits and our vegetables and whole grains, our diets were different. There was less processed foods. We got things very often locally and such. And through the years, to meet the demand for food, understandably, our foods are picked, our fruits and vegetables earlier.
Right.
So they're not getting the full, they get their minerals from the earth, and that's what gives rise to all their value in antioxidants. So less and less and less are in them because they're picked so early, and the soil is depleted, from planting over and over again. So we're not getting from our foods what we used to get. And why that's important is those antioxidants, one of their chief purposes is to block and neutralize what we refer to as free radical damage. So if we're getting more and more free radical damage from chemicals and stress and our lifestyles, and we can go on and on and on, but yet less and less of the antioxidants in our food, that imbalance is also giving rise to a lot of the things that we're seeing. So it's a very important piece of it too.
Yeah. So what are some of the things you can do to improve health of your home, your family. One, obviously what we're talking about is reduce and eliminate all chemicals that you're using. Find alternatives that are non-toxic and more environmentally friendly. And keep all common products out of the reach of children and pets. So things that you do keep that are toxic, put them under lock in the cabinets, or so that pets can't have access to them by having the doors open and they go in, or children and so forth. And also, as Judith was talking about before, if you work on improving your immune system by increasing the antioxidants with a healthy diet and supplements, you boost your resistance to these toxins and have a better chance of resisting illness and disease.
So all that being said, you do have a choice. You do have control of what you bring into your home, what you put on your body. Make those simple changes. Decide what area you're gonna start making changes in. Diet and nutrition is a whole other subject. In fact, next week, I think a week from tomorrow, on the 11th of September.
Right, Monday, right? It's Monday.
Tuesday.
No, Tuesday you do. Tuesday, September 11th, right?
Yeah, here at Pathways, for anybody that's local, I'm going to be doing a free talk and lecture on antioxidants and free radicals and such. And we're going to expand more about that piece for your health and the wellness of your family. And that's open to anybody who wants to come. It'll be at 7 p.m. here at Pathways to Health in Mount Sinai. And you can call our office
at 631-642-2200 or email us at info@pathwaystohealth.com, or just comment on Facebook and let us know that you're coming, okay?
Okay, come on down so we can have a lively discussion on how we can be healthy.
Stop this share, possibly. There we go. Okay.
Over here.
Officially.
There
share.
We go.
All right, so thank you all for joining us. It was 12 noon when this was recorded live on Monday of Labor Day, right?
Yeah.
It's a glorious day here in New York. I hope where you are, you're enjoying the time. And thank you for joining us. Many blessings to all of you, and looking forward to seeing you next week.
Blessings, everybody.
Thank you.